Welcome to the 700 Club. Shameful and barbaric. That's how Russia's relentless attacks on Ukrainian civilian targets are being described. Several major cities are under siege, and more than 1 million refugees have now fled the country.
Putin's war machine is being indirectly funded by the United States. Despite the sanctions, America is still buying oil from Russia. Dale Hurd reports on the latest from Ukraine and in the conflicting U.S. policies.
Ukrainian officials are now reporting more than 2,000 casualties as Russia continues to shell major cities, including civilian areas.
These aren't military targets. They are places where civilians work and families live. This is shameful.
Representative Victoria Sparks has family and friends in Ukraine.
This is barbaric and brutal to the level of unbelievable. They are bombing non-stop civilians, non-stop, from morning till night.
The International Criminal Court's prosecutor has announced an investigation into war crimes. The Russian army has reportedly taken the strategic port city of Kherson, the first large Ukrainian city to fall, and have 4 major Ukrainian cities surrounded. A massive Russian convoy 17 miles north of the capital, Kyiv, seems to have stalled. The war in Ukraine also continues to push oil prices higher to $120 a barrel today, levels not seen since the Obama years. And it's hitting Americans squarely in the pocketbook.
The last time I filled it up was about 110. I'm gonna pay right now for 30 gallons, this $120. Oh, $150. It's $5 each gallon.
Not only is our energy bill up, but our grocery bill is up. Our gas for our vehicles, that's up as well.
In his State of the Union address, Joe Biden said he would release 30 million barrels from the strategic oil reserve to bring down prices. But critics call that a small Band-Aid on a misguided energy policy that has again made America dependent on foreign oil.
You know, he's releasing 1.5 days oil supply for the United States. 1.5 days. Well, that's not a strategy.
And even as the U.S. uses economic sanctions to punish Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, it continues to indirectly fund the Russian war machine by continuing to buy Russian oil at much higher prices.
The difference is more than paying for the war. So you can talk about all these sanctions, but all Putin has to do is look at the bank account, and every morning the U.S. is buying more Russian oil.
Last year, the U.S. bought almost 250,000 barrels of Russian oil. At the current oil price, that's about $27 million into Russia's economy annually.
In just 13 months, we've gone from a country that was exporting oil to one that now has to depend on our enemies for our energy. That's a very dangerous predicament.
Economist Stephen Moore.
We have 250 years worth of natural gas. We have 500 years worth of coal. We have 150 years worth of oil. We're not running out of it. We just need to drill for it. And that's not happening right now. And that is unfortunately playing into the hands of our enemies.
Just last week, the White House put new restrictions on building liquefied natural gas terminals in the United States and put a moratorium on new energy leases on federal lands. And one of the first things Joe Biden did as president was to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline project. But it is a much more serious situation for the Ukrainian people. The UN says 1 million have fled Ukraine for neighboring nations since Russia invaded the country a week ago, setting off the fastest exodus of refugees in this century. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
And this is a refugee crisis that Operation Blessing is responding to, and we're responding to it in your name. Our team will be on the ground on the border of Poland within hours, and we're going to be providing food and water and other essential items for the refugees. And we need your help to do even more. So if you'd like to be a part of it, all you have to do is call us. 1-800-700-7000. Say, I want to give to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. You can write to us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463. You can also text OB Crisis to 71777, or you can go online at cbn.com and give a designated gift to the Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund. Either way, do it now. Let's be a part of helping people in there. The need is absolutely tremendous. So let's be a part of helping. 1-800-700-7000. In other news, the potential economic impact of the war in Ukraine and how it affects the Federal Reserve's plan to fight inflation. Ephraim Graham has more on that from the CBN Newsroom. Ephraim?
Gordon, Chairman Jerome Powell told Congress the Fed will stick with its plan of implementing a series of interest rate hikes to bring down high prices. It begins this month.
I do think it will be appropriate to raise our target range for the federal funds rate at the March meeting in a couple of weeks, and I'm inclined to propose and support a 25 basis point rate hike.
Powell warned the economic impact of war in Ukraine and global sanctions against Russia is, quote, highly uncertain, and it's too soon to predict how they could affect Fed policies, but the Fed will stay the course for now. Skyrocketing inflation has more Americans turning to dollar stores to buy the basics. The tough economic climate is forcing those businesses to change some policies in order to stay viable. Mark Martin takes a look at what that means for customers.
When Aisha Williams made a trip to Dollar Tree, she was in for a surprise.
I was a little shocked at first when I went in for the first time, and it was like, oh my gosh, 25, I was expecting $1, so I was really thrown off by it.
The Virginia resident now plans to shop at Dollar Tree less often due to the increase to $1.25.
Actually, I went into the store and bought something, and it rang up as $1.25, and I asked him about that.
Lee Dean feels the increase makes sense in light of supply issues and the pandemic, and also sees the flip side.
I also feel like it's probably a lot for people who are relying on Dollar Tree and dollar stores for, a lot of their food and whatever. I mean, it's 25% higher, so that could probably hurt a lot of people.
Dollar Tree issued a statement about the increase, saying it was the right time to make the move in order to continue offering extreme value to customers. The company called the decision permanent and said it wasn't a reaction to temporary or short-term market conditions. CEO Michael Witynski added Dollar Tree pricing tests showed broad consumer acceptance of the price increase.
It's not going to turn me away from coming in. Like I said, it depends on what you buy. Stuff's still a good deal. You just got to be a smart shopper.
It's very sensible to do that. I mean, every other industry has raised prices. Food services, automobile industry. That's part of life in the United States.
Still, industry tracker Coresight Research found Dollar Tree experienced a meaningful decline in shoppers after the price increase during a check around the Christmas holidays. As for competitor Dollar General, the discount store says 20% of its merchandise goes for $1 or less. Mark Martin, CBN News.
Many people feel they're running out of options. Gordon?
Well, what this does is impacts the poor in the United States of America. You heard the president in his State of the Union address. He emphasized the need to have all recoveries be from the bottom up, but all of those plans will be destroyed by inflation. A 25% increase is a huge increase, and we're going to continue to see that. Just in the past week, at my gas pump, gas has gone up a full quarter in just a week, and it looks like it's going to go even higher. Those costs for transportation is going to start getting baked into everything we buy. It's all based on trucking. It's all based on transportation. Those costs are all going to be passed on to you and me. And in that inflationary cycle, the federal government isn't going to be able to keep ahead of it. You can't pass the bills in time. You can't respond in a week or 2 weeks. So until these prices get under control, and particularly energy prices get under control, we're going to continue to feel the pain and the pinch in our wallet.